I've got some good news. Can't wait to tell you.
The good news is that Fixer.com has figured out what Googlers want, as judged by the most sought-after information, country by country. Rolexes in Switzerland, mooring a yacht in Monaco, nose jobs in Albania, and flying a MiG in Russia.
I got some bad news. I don't know how to break to you.
The bad news is that none of these things are mentioned in this video, so it's no wonder hardly anyone knows it exists.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
This position was not artificially crafted to puzzle a monkey. It actually occurred in a real game between a human and a computer program.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is my duty to advise you how you should vote when you retire from this court. In the last few weeks, we all heard some pretty extraordinary allegations.
If you cannot discern which is which from their behavior up to this point, as evidenced by the stones already on the board, then you have no alternative but to judge that the computer has passed a Go version of the Turing test. Either that, or you're just not a good judge of telling the difference between an electronic calculator that costs less than a week's wages and someone created by God in his own image, as testified by Iron Age priests, and powered, according to contemporary armchair philosophers, by the most complex thing in the universe. I asked people what they saw when they just glanced at the position for a couple of seconds. 3 people responded to my plea for help. Let's call them G, B, and H. G and B are Go teachers, and H is Haley. In the game, White is trying to do a bit of GBH on black in this corner. Oh, GBH stands for grievous bodily harm, a crime punishable by imprisonment in England. This is what G said.
The shape in the corner and White's one space jump shape inside black's eye space are the focal points. The first instinct, without any reading, is that black should play the marked stone. If there was only 1 second to play, this would be the place. If there is time to read, this is the starting point. It feels like black will easily die if he doesn't play in the corner. Only the internal white stones and the stones outside stones along the edge of the board are important when trying to reconstruct this mentally. Black doesn't have any liberties in the external center bit and can't escape around there, but the center isn't part of the picture apart from mentally noting those constraints. There were 2 white stones along the top edge, and a long knight's move on the left edge. There's a vague recollection that there was actually a cutting stone in White's wall on the left, but it's not clear whether that's worth paying attention to yet, something to revisit while reading if necessary. Black is worried about a capturing race and a flower 5 or rabbit 6 shape. It feels like this will be a Go. Many types of Go are possible. I would have to read for quite some time to find the best Go. I haven't actually done so at this stage, so these are just my first impressions. For what it's worth, I usually refer to myself as a 5D amateur player when asked 7D level on Tigem. The higher amateur ranks are not very useful for predicting actual skill though. If this shape was 1 line smaller within the 4x4 zone, it's likely that I would know the shape. It's status, and best variations by rote, and I think it's almost certain matter pro would. I'm not sure if pros have internalized shapes that are this big, but I haven't. When that happens, a player doesn't necessarily have to read. Sometimes, on the train, or when I can't sleep at night, I solve problems in a way which is similar to this exercise. The basic process is to look at a problem in a book, usually for longer than 2 seconds in my case, and to try to find all the ways to live/die and other interesting things with my eyes closed. I'm not sure if that will affect the results you're looking for, but this is a skill that I've deliberately practiced. It's very hard at first, but gets easier. This shape is close to pushing the limits of what I can reliably visualize. I hope this helps with your studies.
And this is what B said.
Black is dead. I see that white has territory, and black has none. Black at best can share a bunch of liberties with white, so that would be secky if white didn't have eye space, but white does, so black to get white must fill in a bunch of his own liberties, but white still has eye space. Therefore I expect black to die. Of course, if one were to attack white, one would have to sacrifice a stone on the link.
So who are we to believe? G or B?
It is conceded by the defense that the money arrived. What happened to that? We shall never know. That is his affair, and it is not for us to pry. It will be a sad day for this country when a leading politician cannot spend his election expenses in any way he sees fit. One further point. You will have noticed that 3 of the defendants have chosen very wisely to exercise their inalienable right not to go into the witness box to answer a lot of impertinent questions. I will merely say that you are not to infer anything from this other than that they consider the evidence against them so flimsy that it was scarcely worth rising from their seats and wasting breath denying these ludicrous charges. Finally, I'd like to pay a personal tribute to Mr. Thrope's husband, Miriam, who has stood by him throughout this long and unnecessary ordeal. I know you'll join with me in wishing them well for a long and happy future. You are now to retire, as indeed should I. You are now to retire, carefully to consider your verdict of not guilty.
Ska ha en grundläggande skolbildning och sen måste man följa upp de här grundläggande fakta.
Well, I quoted the Trilateral Commission view of the educational system, namely it's a system of indoctrination of the young.
Ska ha en grundläggande skolbildning och sen måste man följa upp de här grundläggande fakta.
Namely it's a system of indoctrination of the young. And so the educational system is supposed to train people to be obedient, conformist, not think too much, do what you're told, stay passive, don't cause any crises of democracy, don't raise any questions, and so on. That's basically what the system is about. Even the fact that the system has a lot of stupidity in it, I think, has a function. You know, it means that people are filtered out for obedience. If you can guarantee lots of stupidity in the educational system, you know, like stupid assignments and things like that, you know that the only people who make it through are people like me and like most of you, I guess, who are willing to do it no matter how stupid it is, because we want to go to the next step, you know. So you may know that this assignment is idiotic and the guy up there couldn't think his way out of a paper bag, but you'll do it anyway because that's the way you get to the next class. And all of this is a technique for selection for obedience. And I don't know how to prove this, but I have a feeling that when you go to the elite universities, you find more obedience and conformity, probably because you're getting the students who were better able to do it, you know.
Det var ju fel. Du har ju fel. Rakt upp och ner fel. Om ni väljer att visa, om du väljer att för mig att bara visa min sko, den är ju jätteful. Det är ju bara en del av mig. Om du väljer att visa mitt ansikte så är det en annan. Ni visar ju en liten del och kallar det för världen.
Baserar du den viden på?
Ja, men det är vanlig statistik och det är inte kontroversiellt.
Because you can't get anywhere if you just copy what somebody told you. You have to be challenging things all the time, challenging everything, you know, and thinking new thoughts and so on. He was saying that a couple of us smart guys will decide what the great thoughts are, and every student will memorize them. And that's education. Okay. Well, you know, I mean, that's a way to turn people into pure automata. I mean, even if they happen to pick the great thoughts, there is no way less likely to get anybody to think about those thoughts than to make that the curriculum. That finishes them off, you know. And I think that's the purpose, really. I mean, the purpose is just to impose authority, you know. Here's the great thoughts. All this other stuff is rubbish. Just learn those and you're okay. I'll pick them, you memorize them. That's basically the line. Now, of course, that's the opposite of education. I mean, that's the way you study Talmud or something like that. But it's very popular. There's pressure to turn the schools back to the days when you didn't have to worry about those things, like disobedient students asking questions about things that you didn't tell them to think about and so on.
What's the matter, Bernard?
Oh, nothing really, Sir Humphrey.
You look unhappy.
About ends and means. Actually feel rather downcast. Shouldn't we believe in them?
What an extraordinary idea.
So what do we believe in?
The golden rule is, don't lift lids off cans of worms.
No, Sir Humphrey.
Everything is connected to everything else. Who said that?
The Cabinet Secretary?
Nearly right. Actually, it was Lenin.
Need no education. We don't need no force control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teacher, leave them kids alone.
Det här är ingenting som man kan diskutera. Jag har rätt och du har fel.
Yeah.
Inte använda sig av media om man ska förstå världen.
Det är förstås en poäng.
And I guess all is fair in love and war. Someone wins.
But someone wins.
I've got